Hi there, Dr. Gary here on the road. We sell dental practices nationwide. We are dental practice brokers. So today's topic is part 2. Seller makes a huge, incorrect choice. Let's get into what happened there. Before we do that, as you know, we are now in multiple states and over 20 states around the country. We have 10 employees, including 2 CPA accountants, marketing director, operations director, and acquisition development specialist. So we are also available for you 363 days a year. We take off Christmas and Easter, but we are always available. 8 a.m. East Coast time till 9 p.m. Call us. If you just want to call to chat, want some advice, there's no charge for that. We'll talk to you. But we're here to help you. Our number is 201-663-0935. And our website is dentalpracticeguide.com or nationwidedentalpracticebrokers.com. So give us a call. More than happy to help you. Now, everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. It is not business or legal advice. So, also, if you're thinking about selling to a DSO, please call us first. First of all, they basically pay our commission. Vast majority of times, our commission's paid. So there's no commission to you as a seller. But more important, we know who the players are because we're in the trenches with them before any news or publications or something. Forget it. We are on the ground line with them, ground level, and we feel like we are a reporter from the front lines. We are just on it, you know? So we see what happens. We're at the front lines. We get the pulse of everything. We can see how the DSOs are changing, who's taking too long, who's merging, who's having financial troubles, who's taking forever to go to closing. It's like, I think we have our finger on the pulse. And we've done hundreds of transactions, doing it for 13 years. I think we can help you. They'll pay our commission. Also, when you work with us and it's a big DSO sale, we'll get your legal fees reimbursed upon successful closing. So give us a ring about that. Okay, so what happened now? This seller is about to make a huge mistake. A huge one. Simply making the incorrect choice of how to move forward. Let me tell you what happened. So we have a deal. We have an agreed upon deal. We have a letter of intent. We have motivated buyers. Buyers that are experienced, buyers that are approved for the bank, buyers that have strong financial backing. They're getting the bank loan, but they're pretty strong. And the buyers are seasoned. You know, they've been out for 8 years, 10 years, had another office, so they want this office. And there's some real estate involved too. But they want this office and really focused on it and providing everything. They got the attorney. They're doing everything they should. Came to a decision with the seller. Seller accepted their letter of intent, some negotiation. So we're ready to move forward, waiting for the seller. Please sign the letter of intent. The seller's a little slow getting it back, but it really doesn't matter because the letter of intent is non-binding. You can really progress forward with everything as far as the contract and all without a letter of intent. But a letter of intent that's signed gives you at least a good feeling about it and clarifies certain of the terms. And you'd like to have the letter of intent signed, but not mandatory. So anyway, so we're waiting on the seller, and it's really taking his time, her time, whatever. Now on my contract, I have, it has limits to it. We usually do 6 months. And then we have a 30-day provision. It will renew every 30 days up until such time as the seller or the broker decide they no longer want to pursue this deal. So it's an out clause. Just give us, and it had it in there. And we were beyond the 6 months. And then we also have a section where we exclude certain buyers because maybe the seller, met somebody before, and we have nothing to do with that. We get no commission. So one thing leads to another, and Still waiting. I have a signed contract. Seller put down their exclusions. And one of the exclusions was one of his dental school buddies' child that was coming out of dental school. Or he had been out for like 2 years or something like that. So it was an exclusion. So as an exclusion, we have to appreciate that. Now, time goes on. We got a fire engine coming. That fire engine reminds me of some of my deals. It's like, this is crazy. It's about to go up in smoke. So one thing leads to another. Waiting to hear from the seller. Seller's not signing the letter of intent. I'm like, what are you doing? Kind of stalling a little bit. The next thing we know, the seller and my buyers were paying top dollar. So above and beyond the normal and standard customary for a purchase of a practice. And they were interested in some of the real estate too. So my seller, through his attorney, not calling me, seller decides he's going to communicate to his attorney that he's not moving forward on the deal, but rather he has another buyer. I don't know who the buyer is. Eventually I found out it was a buyer on my exclusion list. And, from a contractual point of view, the seller has another buyer. I can't do anything about it. They're on the exclusion list, so I get no commission out of that. And but the seller has all rights to do that. But here's what the big error, he's making a decision. It's a wrong decision. Now you have a buyer that's pre-approved, experienced, bank financing, owned their own practice for over 8 years, compared to a younger buyer. Nothing against the younger buyer, but the younger buyer never owned their own office. We don't have 100% bank approval. Even if we did, some of these banks can pull out. Call me and I'll tell you what banks have done that, pull out last minute. So the seller thinks he's the smartest, or she is the smartest person in the room. This way they could bypass the commission. And legitimately they could. But what the seller is missing is so foolish. You have a buyer in your hand, a deal in your hand, and you're going to let that go because you have another deal and you're going to save 51, 55, 58, whatever it is. You're going to save $48,000 on commission or $45,000 on commission. You're going to jeopardize your deal. Now, what happens in these deals is, my opinion, the new buyer who's expected to buy the real estate and expected to pay top dollar, the new buyer doesn't have the experience of doing deals.
In 1 mile,
and
keep right.
Excuse me for that. And the new buyer is going to bail out. Buyer in second position is going to bail out when everything comes together, sees that they're paying top dollar, sees that they're going to have to buy the real estate and have to come up with the 20% down payment. It is not easy. Now, maybe they have the finances, possibly, but most young buyers don't. But if the buyer was so motivated, who was on the exclusion list, why didn't they step up to the plate before? You have to ask that question. If they like to practice that much and they're the child of another dentist, if they like to practice that much, why didn't they buy it before? It's indecision there. My prediction, this seller's making a huge mistake. What will happen? My buyers who had the letter of intent will walk away. The first buyer, who the doctor recruited, will fall apart. And what will happen is, you've made a huge error, huge mistake. You lose the first buyer, and you're going to lose the second buyer. It's not like the second buyer is going to stick around the rest of their life waiting. They're not. They'll be gone. So a few months down the road, let's revisit this. And my prediction
in 0.1 miles, keep right.
Sorry, I'm on the road all the time. My prediction is, buyer that jumped in now, first buyer, is out, drops out, and by then the second buyer had already been looking at something
Keep right.
else. So that's what happens. So beware of that. If you like
In
these
a quarter
videos,
of a mile,
put it down.
exit right.
All right? Make a note on it and hit the subscribe button. All right? We have some great ones coming out, and you listen to new practices for sale too. I think last month we had 12 of them. So listen, and I hope you're learning something from these things. All right? Thanks a lot. Bye.